Right. Last time we are looking at again, of course, we had to look at several elements. One, we have to look at culture and the elements of culture. We actually say culture is very important when we are looking at international business and international trade and finance, where culture, whatever trade you will be engaged in worldwide, you are going to encounter uh, uh, a number of cultures. So there must be culture resistance, but most of the times you have to be part of them by doing that trade. And again, we actually said that this culture is, of course, sometimes it can be a national culture and sometimes it can be a subculture. Especially when it is a subculture, it's where there are a lot of resistance. So that's what we actually said. But with this national culture, it's very easy because it is being looked upon by government. So government has the mandate to look into the national culture. So culture is very, very important, especially in terms of international business, because we are looking at countries that have different cultures. So look at that. And again, you actually said something about that sometimes don't think that your culture is the base. Centricity. Don't think that your culture is the base. You have to be part of any country that you be. And we have again look at aspect of culture. That culture is composed of norms, values, beliefs, that we have to say. And we have to look at each and every element on that. That's what we actually say. And but today we want to look at another area in this international business, and this is to do with ways of promoting trade, promotion of trade, ways of promoting trade. So I want to look at the promotion of trade. Our aim is to look at ways of promoting international trade. International trade can be promoted or can be restricted. There are these two elements here that we have to look at. International trade can be either promoted or can be restricted. If we're looking at international trade being promoted or restricted, it is now taking us back to the question of government intervention. Why the government intervene in trade? Look at that. But when you look at government intervention, government is intervening, government is coming in or in international trade. The moment you say there is government intervention, means government is coming in. So government can come in either to restrict international trade or to promote international trade. That's why we are looking at government motives behind intervention in trade. As government is intervening, it is trying to block, it's trying to prevent what is called free trade. And that free trade is what we actually defined last time. That when we talk about free trade, we are looking at that it is a trade that is not restricted at all by nations. If nations are not restricted, it's just part of, it's just a pattern where we're looking at import and export being, there are no restrictions at all. That's what is called free trade. Therefore, where we are looking at is when we talk about import and export. And this import and export, there are no barriers to trade. It's when the issue of free trade is coming in. And government has to intervene. Government, every government, whether Malawi government, United States government, British government, they have to come in. It's either they can promote that trade or they can restrict the trade. So we actually looked at that if government is intervening in international trade, it has got aims behind. And one of the aims behind is what we are called that as the political motives behind. Can be political motives. So you find government is coming in, international trade, guys, is what it wants in terms of politics. Government can come in knowing that they're about elections. So the fact that they're about elections, they want people to vote for the government of the day. That's why government will come in. And that is government's motives behind international trade. So politics, like now, we are facing towards the elections. 2025, there will be elections in Malawi, general elections in Malawi, where we'll be electing president, we'll be electing members of parliament and whosoever who will elect them. Now, as it is, government now has the duty to either promote trade, so that it wants people to say, no, I think we are fine with the government and we can vote for the government. And at the same time, government is intervening in this international trade in the sense that it wants to create job opportunities. The moment it is creating job opportunities, it's going to win the majority. Majority will be won simply because there is that job opportunity that has been created by the government. Therefore, this is another area of interest. That government, when the government is intervening in international trade, it wants people to vote for the government, and again, it wants people to at least secure jobs so that after whatever comes, people should vote for the government. That's what they actually say. And again, not only job opportunities whatsoever, but again, another area of interest in political motives behind international trade is that on what is called preservation of national security. Preservation of national security. Preservation of national security is in form of two issues. One, it is in form of import, and second is in form of export. Government would like to preserve national security in the form of import and in form of exports. That's why that is the motive behind. What do we mean when we say import and export? What we mean is government will try as much as possible to say, we don't want to export a lot. I want just to use some of these as a surplus for the country. We don't want to export them. Or we don't want to import much, because the moment we import, we are going to lose a lot of money. So we are looking at that the government is trying to safeguard, is trying to preserve national security. So that a lot of things are not exported, a lot of things are not imported. So that the government is keeping its items, is keeping its commodities intact without much being exported or without much being imported. That is again and the area behind. So when we talk about economical motives of international trade, why government intervention in the trade. So we're looking at political issue, and second, we are looking at the economical issue. Now, if we are looking at this economical issue, we cannot run away from the economical issue without talking something about the protection of infant workers. We're looking at the protection of my infant workers. In other words, the protection of infant workers, we are looking at them, we are defining them as we are protecting the minors. Malawi is defining a minor, someone who is so young, who is someone who is below 18 years. If someone is below 18, it is young person. And yes, this guy who is about 18 and below is not allowed to work in factories, is not allowed to work in plantations, is not allowed to be abused, is not allowed to be treated unfairly. The life of this guy is being protected because he is just a minor. So government will try as much as possible to intervene in international trade so that it is protecting these little ones. In other words, it is trying to protect infants in the industries, the infant industries. The other industries, they just employ young, and these are what are called the infant industries. And these are the young, these members, the young ones, right? They are these small kids, right? They cannot, they are entitled to go and do education, work, do education. But because, say, there are other harsh industries out there, they try as much as possible to employ another and then put them in their farm or in their industries. That's what we have to. So, and again, lastly, is what we looked at, that again we discussed something to do with the government's motives behind international trade is on the cultural motive. So government intervention on cultural motive. It's where now we are saying that sometimes government has to come in so as it is preserving its culture. Culture, it is something that has to be preserved. Long time, if I come back to you, just to give you a historical background, long time, around 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, Malawi's culture was intact because we were under the one-party regime, under the Malawi Congress Party by that time, with the leadership of Bukarest Kamubanda. The culture was that culture which was an outstanding culture, where even someone comes out there, whether it's coming from UK, he's coming from whichever country, when the moment he or she lands in Malawi, she lands on this soil of Malawi, easily to detect that I think we are in Malawi. And by that time, Malawi was the warm heart of Africa. Because not even if someone could bring another different culture. The moment he brings another culture, the end result wasn't being jailed, but it was a very harsh punishment for that time. So government is trying to say, international trade, is trying to, because it knows, government knows, that the moment it allows different culture, people they are going to destroy our culture. Chinese people come, we just be eating their whatever, the rodents will be eating their whichever animals and whatsoever, simply because this is their culture. So they will come and destroy our culture. That's why government will say, no. Are you coming to do trade in Malawi? Yes. Which nationality are you from? We are from China, with the Chinese people. So what business do you want? A, B, C, D. Before you engage yourself in this, you have to know, you have to learn our culture. You know our culture, we are Malawians. No, tell me. Malawi, they behave A, B, C, D, this, and that. That's the way to start. It's where now, this is taking us to another level, and then the fact that we are looking at that government has intervened culturally, politically, and economically. It's where now this is taking us to government is getting way of either methods of promoting trade. That's what I'm saying. Government can intervene so that it can either promote or it can restrict. When it is to restrict, if it sees that I think things are not all right, government can restrict, can say we don't want this to happen. But if government says things are all right, things can be fine, everything is well done, whatever. Government is promoting it. Yes, we are looking at these two issues of government promoting and government restricting. Let's start with the government promoting trade. Let's define government promotion of trade. Methods of promoting trade. Methods of promoting trade, international trade. Method of promoting trade. To promote trade is to make the trade do to its part. That's the promotion of trade. Methods of promoting trade. One of the methods of promoting government promoting trade is by what is called subsidy. By promotion of subsidies. You have heard about the subsidies. The player subsidy, whatever subsidy, a subsidy. It means that government has got a part, has got a fraction to pay on behalf of individual or locals or local people. That's what it's called a subsidy. The player subsidy, it means that government is trying to bail out the cost. It's going to take other costs. Instead of using that cost for them, it can bail out those costs. So I look at that as the subsidy. Let's define what is a subsidy. A subsidy, it is what is called a financial assistance to domestic products in the form of payment or low interest loan, or sometimes we look at all what we call the tax breaks, or sometimes product price support, or another form. That is what is called subsidy. Subsidy is just the financial assistance to domestic products in the form of cash payment, low interest loans, tax breaks, product price support, or product price support, or another form. Another form. Let me just explain it. Here is a country, Malawi, and this Malawi has got an upper hand. It has an interest in its people. But knowing that Malawi is going into very economical hardships or hard hiccups, this government would like to subsidize to subsidize its products, whether fertilizer, whichever. So here the government has to do financial assistance. So the financial assistance in the form of loan, payment, tax breaks, saying, no, I think government will pay this, the other will go and buy this. Payment, look at low interest, loan, product support, loans, all those, that's what's called subsidy. The aim behind for government to subsidize is it wants its people to meet needs, because it might be that individuals elsewhere within the country they are failing to access the commodities because they have insufficient financial resources. Now, if you have got insufficient financial resources, if the government has noticed that, in other words, has noticed economical problems, that's why it has got this element of coming in and then saying, why can't we help in this, that side? When it does something like that, it is where now we are looking at it as now that is a substate. The issue of subsidy has been looked upon sometimes by governments. It has been pulled down by oppositions. There are other people who do oppose. Because the argument, what they actually say is that people are not benefiting. It's only those people who are under the politicians are the ones who are enjoying, of which we don't know whether this can be true or cannot be true. But the critique, the drawback, the problem of this subsidy is being noted due to its inefficiency, and at the same time due to its complacency. So when we talk about its inefficiency or its complacency, we are looking at sometimes the cost itself is what the people see that things are not well. And at the same time, the issue of subsidy has encouraged a lot of this issue of bribes, corruption. It has encouraged corruption a lot. If corruption has deepening its roots, it's simply because of subsidy. There are a lot of people, even if the government would bring a very harsh mechanism, but this animal of corruption is very hard for it to be uprooted. It's very difficult. This is one of the drawbacks, one of the problems of subsidy. And again, the very same subsidy has got a problem in overuse of resources, negative environmental effect, and at the same time, higher cost for commodities. Higher cost for commodities. A very good example, if you go to China, oil production is now the government has tried to subsidize oil. But now if you look at that, it has a negative impact in the country. It has a negative impact because if the government is subsidized, it means there will be a problem in again government collection of money for the country revenue. So, an element of this subsidy as one of this, it has got, if you look at it as the subsidy itself, we are looking at it that, especially the only guys who are greatly affected are farmers, because the farmers are the ones that are greatly affected by the subsidies. Here, we look at this country that has promoted the subsidies. It's only farmers, and again, these farmers are saying that even if the farmers are getting advantage, but still there are other people around, they are finding it very difficult. That's why the subsidy issue is becoming unwanted within the society. So we have seen that subsidy is one of the methods for government promoting trade. So that sometimes government can promote trade through subsidy, could subsidize other commodities. Whether it's whichever commodities government will say we are subsidizing. The second element apart from subsidy is what is called export financing. The second one, apart from subsidy, is export financing. Export financing. So export financing is another element to consider in that. Let's now look at export financing. Let's look at this issue of export financing. The issue of export financing, the word export financing, who will finance this export? It is the government. Government will try as much as possible to finance the exports so that it will like people to produce more and more, and people should encourage in exporting. The moment you export more, you are bringing you are at least making your country to have surplus because you are exporting more. So government will try as much as possible to promote exports by helping companies financing their export activities. How can this be done? It can just be done if government is offering loans. So government offering loans to companies that would otherwise obtain or charge them on according to what they have. So the moment the government is saying we are trying to finance you, it means it's part of what is trying to offer loans. So government will offer loans through what is called export financing. A very good example, Malawi, we export a lot of tea. Long time we used to export tobacco, but because of other markets out there, negativity towards the markets out there, and just because of their adverse conditions in Malawi, tobacco seems to not to produce a lot of money. Yes, we are still working on the tea. So the tea farm plantations, government will try, knowing that it's just that's the only area of exporting commodities. Government will try as much as possible to provide loans to those companies. So, if we are looking at this, we are looking at these loans to government provision of loans. But if you look at it that we are looking at under the context of that these countries, the countries are very big countries like United States, They can get loans from what is called the export-import banks of the United States of America. Or sometimes we call the Ex-Im banks. The Ex-Im banks. Government can borrow money through what they are called the import, export, and import banks of the United States of America. Ex-Im bank. Mwana vile kama wewe banesi yake ulivyo kama ni nesi the Import and Export Bank of the United States of America. So many nations have special agencies dictated that are being dictated to help their domestic companies by obtaining finance. In other words, we are looking at that one of those agencies, they are being supported by the United States, the Ex-Im banks of the United States. You can find out what is this What is the Ex-Im? The Export and Import banks of the United States. So in these banks of the United States, the Ex-Im banks, Export and Import banks of the United States are there to facilitate, to provide loans to companies. So how do they facilitate loans to companies? They try to give loans especially to companies that are engaged in export. That's why we are looking at that export financing. I don't know whether in Malawi we have that, but actually the reality on the ground, companies that do export a lot are supposed to be financed. They are supposed to be financed. So the fact that they are being financed is one way of promoting that they have to engage themselves in what is called the exporting of commodities. So you have seen government is promoting trade. After subsidies, we are looking at the export financing. Export financing, government is providing loans. Government is training companies. Not only provision of loans, there are other agencies out there that are there for provision of loans. Example, there are banks, very big banks in the United States that involves in borrowing, lending money, in giving loans. And one of that one is what is called the Ex-Im bank, which is now the Export and Import Bank of the United States of America. The aim behind it is to promote companies that are engaging themselves in the exporting of commodities. So we are looking at that as that. In other words, about more than 200 countries, 200 companies worldwide have been assisted by the Export and Import banks of the United States, so that they are being promoted that you can go ahead with your big bank. Because of that, we can give you money. So there are those elements of export financing. So the second one is the export financing. We have started with the subsidy, and the second one we are looking at the export financing. Where in the export financing, we have seen about government using other agencies like overseas private investment corporations, or sometimes the banks of the United States. So those overseas private investment corporations, they can at least finance companies that are in exports. The third way government would promote trade is by what is called the foreign trade zone. So we're looking at the third way of doing it as a foreign trade zone. Before I come to foreign trade zone, if you have got questions, you have observations, or you have got comments to make, you are mostly welcome.